Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the channel. Today I have the anticipated red-green CB deck profile that a lot of people have been asking me locally, Facebook, and a bunch of the video comments have been asking me, can I please see the deck list? And today I have the deck list for you guys. I want to first say thank you for all those who've been subscribing and also been watching the videos. We dropped a video maybe 1 or 2 days ago and already got 2K views on just dueling, showing off the deck that I'm currently going to have here for you guys. Now, I'm going to show this deck of what I currently have right now, but I'm also going to talk about cards that I had prior to other videos. So you'll see some changes that I did and things that you could potentially do yourself, depending on your local area. My local area is a little different maybe than yours. People play differently. Some people have more blockers, some people have more aggro. So it all depends on what you currently have in your area. But I'm going to show you guys what I currently have right now and what I will be taking to my NTC tomorrow, actually, to see how I can actually possibly do. On top of that, I also have another deck list that I'm going to be showing you guys very soon. So if you guys want to see a purple red CB deck, I'm actually having a lot more fun playing that version of CB than actually this version. This version is very consistent and that version is very fun. So I'm going to show you guys that video as well. So this week we're going to change a lot of things around. We're going to be showing you guys about 3 duels with the purple red CBs, and then I'm going to show you guys my deck profile. And I feel like that's the best way to actually showcase how everything works, is to show you how I use it and then go ahead and show you the deck profile. Now, in this deck profile, I'm going to give you guys my mindset of what I'm using specifically, how I'm using it, and why I'm using these specific cards, and why I'm not using other cards as well. So I think that's pretty much it. I want to appreciate you guys again for clicking on the video and checking this video out. And if this helps anyone else out with their CB deck, go ahead and share it. I appreciate you guys. And with the new stuff that's coming on with YouTube, you can also hype it if you guys also want to do that as well. So without further ado, let's get into this deck profile. Now, a lot of people have been asking me, where have I gotten all my resources? Now, the new store champion stuff, you should be receiving these. These just happens to, this is the Chinese New Year one, and this is the obviously the Japanese Setsuna. They came out of a magazine. So I got these over on eBay. But if you have the store championships or any regional qualifiers, you'll be able to get these for participating. I've had a lot of people comment, where do you get those? There you go. So now, let's go into the deck profile of the green-red CB. Let me first explain why I'm using certain cards, because I know a lot of people might dislike the video immediately, but let me explain why and what my mindset is specifically on this, okay? So, without further ado, the first 3 cards, I know a lot of people don't like this card. This is the Gundam Kyrios Flight Mode. People hate that it is a 1 HP, and trust me, I hate that as well. But here is the mindset specifically. I only run this at 3. If I get it in my opening hand early, awesome. If I don't, later on, it can be okay. But the whole purpose of this mindset is, if you're going against aggro, let's say specifically blue-purple, right? Blue-purple cannot ping normally your enemy until turn 4 with the Adept. So with that being said, this can drop on turn 2. Either way, if you're dropping it, either if you're going second, your second turn, or if you're going first, your second turn, and you can go ahead and drop this, break their base, and that's the only job that this is for. It's just meant to break the base. Now, one of the things I've been, even with the last NTC, I've actually been playing CB, even on the last couple NTCs, and in this pure copium, I wanted to play with something I like personally. But one of the issues I had was actually, I was so close to winning some games, but the problem is I would draw and not have a linkable unit. With this specific deck list, I like this card, even if it's mid to late game and I'm about to win and I just need 1 linkable unit. I go ahead and draw this. Because it can match with either one of these 2 pilots, I can go ahead and go in and finish the game. That is one of the reasons why I don't mind this card as much as well when it comes to late game, because I can link this unit with Ali or Holly to go ahead and finish off a game. That is something that, again, when I was playing my CBs in purple green, I will always have an issue. Don't have the right pilot, can't finish the game, you guys win. So with this, early on, it just meant to break. If they want to close combat it, awesome. If they don't want to close combat, on my turn 3, I can drop the other ones. So that is something that I have. Again, the reason for this specifically is turn 4 is when they drop a depth to ping. Sure, it dies. But on turn 3, this will be able to swing if I had this on my opening hand. So that is the reason why I only run it at 3. I don't want to see it much at all, but I have it in my opening hand. Great. If I don't have it in my opening hand, I might see it later. If I see it later, then I either might use it for a linkable unit towards the end, or if I need to get over something and maybe put Alleluia so I don't take no damage, then I can go about doing that as well. So I have 3 of the Kyrios flight mode. Next, something that I've did differently in this deck profile. If you see my blue purple deck duel, I had the normal Dynamis. The normal Dynamis is a 3/3 stat line. They both work with lock on. In this scenario specifically, I've gone against a lot of ping. As long as I have, and red is out there. Red is being very popular right now with the new Neo Xeon stuff. With this, if I have a CB pilot in play, I take 1 less damage per turn, as long as I have a CB pilot in play. So technically, this becomes a 2/4 in that instance. It helps eat away a lot of the pings potentially as well. I just think overall it's super duper solid. If you happen to have wing still in your area, this can also help. If you have a pilot in play, it won't be affected. It will live by 1 HP. So that's something to keep in mind as well. All when it comes to why I'm using this. I understand that it doesn't have 3 AP, and that can help you break the base if you needed to. But honestly, I'm just here to use it as a defense mechanism, and then once I break the base, I can go ahead and start swinging. So I'm running 3 right now, but while I was playtesting the other version of the normal Dynamis, I was thinking in my head, would this be a better if it had full shield Dynamis? And a couple times it has come up where I wish that this was full shield versus the other Dynamis. So that is why I currently put it in the deck, and I'm using it right now in this version. Next we have for you guys, we have 4 of the Rezel, pretty much Kyrios, where it's a 2/3. When you have a pilot in play, just a CB pilot, any pilot in play, it becomes a 4/3 on your turn. And then on your opponent's turn, it goes back down to a 2/3. But this can help to get over something if you needed to break something. 4, not bad. If you put the pilot, if you put Ali underneath this, it becomes a 5/4. Super duper solid. Is just really there to break potentially something. If you haven't broke your EX base, we can go ahead next turn, drop the 4, potentially a linkable unit, just become 4, breaks the EX base, and then you can go ahead and start going in. So that is the reason why this card is still really super duper solid in this game. It's also linkable with any of the 2 main pilots you're going to be running, so why not? Next, I ended up cutting this out from 3 to 2. This specifically is super solid as well. As long as you have a link unit in play from CB, you can drop this at a 3/2 cost. This is more of a turn, maybe 4 or 5, potentially more of a 5 turn. You can drop this because then you most likely have a linkable unit. But if you need to, if you're going first and you have nothing else, you can use all 3 resources as long as you're going first, right? No, don't burn that EX. You can go ahead and drop this so you can have a body out on the field. So this is kind of where my early on starting off is. It has 4 HP, which is also really nice as well. You can link it with Ali or Holly, can gain the benefit of that if you wanted to. But most of the time, I want this more towards, like I said, turn 5, maybe turn 6, where I have linkable units already, and I go ahead and drop this down. I had this at more, maybe 3 or 4, and I noticed I don't really like it as much without having those parameters met beforehand. So that is for that. Next, we have the lock-on package. I am running the Dynamis, the LR Dynamis here specifically. I think overall is super solid of a unit. It can be very troublesome. You can get over Gundam. You can get over a lot of other units and repair and still survive. Preferably, I would like to drop this first before Kyrios, but if I need to drop the other way around, that's possible. Whatever is out on the board, I can go ahead and take it out. Then they're going to go ahead and bring out a bigger unit to take out this unit, and then I can go ahead and drop Kyrios, which is also going to be the 4 curve spot. Now you're going to notice that pretty much my curve is at the 4 mark. All right, I like to keep mine as low to the ground as possible. We have 4 of the Gundam Kyrios from the GD04 set. This card with Hallelujah is just super awesome. Hallelujah makes this deck a lot better, and even makes the purple a lot better as well. Being able to pretty much draw, if you have your deck built out correctly, you're going to pretty much draw 1 card almost guaranteed. Almost. There's always commands cards that you might not be able to get. But this unconditionally getting first strike it becomes the hottest target on the field. You got to get rid of it as soon as possible, or just let it hit your shield. But you don't want that to happen either. The only thing about this specific deck is you don't really have protection, unfortunately, when it comes to Kyrios, where the purple side does. But this becomes really, really strong. First strike, when you have a link, when you have one of the links on here, can be really good as well. Obviously, with Hallelujah on here, if you put Holly on here and you turn it sideways because it's linked, it gains 2 AP for every rested CB, including itself, so it becomes a 5/5. If in case you needed to, if you put Hallelujah on here, it's not as good, but when you turn it, it becomes a 4/5. Okay, keep in mind that in my duel against a blue-purple player, one of the things that occurred was they armor arrayed another CB unit, which then in turn buffed this unit from a 4 AP to a 6 AP. So that can potentially happen if they decide to rest your unit. Now the unit became a lot more stronger. So keep that in mind when you're happy to link it, because you don't have to happen to find Hallelujah. You can put Ali on here to go ahead and get that first strike, get that unit off the field. But on top of that, if they decide to rest any other units, or if you have any units yourself that you have rested, it becomes stronger as well. So this card, super duper awesome. Next, I am running 2 of the Dynamis 5/3 Breacher. Super solid. Is by itself is good. You can drop this on turn 5. It can breach. You have lock on if you wanted to. You can go ahead and get over something as 5 or lower in an active spot and then go ahead and breach. Overall, I just think that this unit is really good. I did have this unit at 3, and then I realized English today would be amazing. As I was playing with this deck, I realized this card is good, but there's sometimes I wish I had another card. And you're going to see more cards in here where I would like, yeah, I had to cut out and make that spot for it. So 2 of the Dynamis right now. You can run 3 if you wanted to. I think it's possible, especially if you put the lock-on package in here. If you don't put the lock-on and you just have it as a standard unit, can be solid as a 2. I wouldn't go more than 2 if you don't have lock-on. It's still really good by itself, but in reality, you kind of want to make sure you have your lock-on to be able to really benefit from the active position if you really needed to. All right, next we have 2 of the Gundam Kyrios Transams. This is also really solid. As long as you have, this is pretty where much of your end game is at. As long as you have the Hallelujah or Alleluia or both of them out on the field, doesn't have to be linked to this specifically. As long as you have them out on the field, this would gain first strike or breach or both at the same time, which is really, really nice. You can potentially, if you have Hallelujah on the other Kyrios and you put Ali on this just to link it, now you have both first strike and breach. That can be really annoying. If they haven't taken this out already, now you put 2 first strike units all on the field, which can be really tough to be dealing with. Once you start to put the first strikers out on the field and they're not taking care of them, this is going to be really, really tough for them to get, totally rid of everything in this specific lineup. So overall, really happy with this card. I think overall, as long as you're using it correctly, can be really, really strong. Sometimes what you can also do, and it has happened one of the duels, was I put Alleluia onto this unit just so I can hit a level 3 AP 3 or lower. I was able, obviously I had a link in play for Alleluia's effect, and I was able to breach, take no damage, and then he was also able to breach. So this becomes really, really solid. Again, you can run it however you want. That's what I like about the deck is they're mostly meant to be linked, but then some cards you might not, you can just do whatever you want with it. And that's kind of like what I like about this deck is you can adjust it according to what you need for that situation. All right, and the last card that I have that I had to make some adjustment for to put in the deck because people are sleeping on this card. This card is just too good to not run. I like running this card at 3. I can see running it at 4 because this card is just too good, especially with so many low-cost units. This is Gundam Throne 1. This is pretty much winged for your CB players. This, on a deploy effect, you can rest up to 2 CB units, rest them, and everything level 6 or lower is taking 2 damage to it. So this is really, really awesome. This is going to board wipe a lot of tokens, a lot of 2-1s, a lot of units that are just barely alive. Let's say they got rid of the LR Dynamis, right? They got rid of the LR Dynamis. They did Kira and Ailstrike. They have 2 HP left. You have 2 other units on the field. Drop this, rest those 2 CBs. Now you just blew up the Kira and the L. Because this is a level cost 4 on turn 6, that gives you two more resources to use, and you can go ahead and drop 1 more unit. So if you have at least 1 unit prior, you drop another 2, you drop this, turn those 2 sideways, and go ahead and nuke the field. This card is just, this can win a lot of games because of you board wiping it. I think overall, if you see this card in your hand, and as you get to turn 5 and you get into turn 6, you're going to want to set yourself up for this to play to happen. You really do want to set this up. This can help clear the board. I think overall, I think people are sleeping on it. I got this card for like $9 a day of release, and now the card went back up to like $16, $20. I saw it one time for $35, but that's crazy. But I'm glad this is just a normal rare, so you can pick it up for the rare, but the alternate art is very pricey. But overall, I just think that people are sleeping on it. People have seen people run it at 2. I ran it at 2, and I barely saw it. I do want to see this card. This card can help with the aggro mid-game. If you are still surviving by then, mid-game, go ahead and take care of it. You do have a lot of low end to kind of control them a little bit. Also with the first strike, also with the dynamis, you can kind of control them a little bit. This then board wipes and clear out the board, especially with a lot of tokens, striker packs, blockers. This is super solid. This helps again, even on the purple side. You're going to potentially run this because Transam is turn 7. So you can go ahead and nuke the field to kind of get rid of some of the blockers that might have a little bit HP left. Again, this is just honestly a really solid card, and I just think that it needs to be put in the deck. Originally, I did not put it in the deck in my blue-purple build. I did not originally have it. As I started noticing more and more duels I was playing against locals, this card is actually really, really good. I like to keep all the cards all linkable, and this is the only card that is not linkable, but has definitely turned the tides for me when I needed it, and I just think overall, I think it should be in the deck. All right, that is all the units. Now let's go into the pilots. Now this is something that I know a lot of people might not like, but keep in mind, every single unit is linkable, and only one time did I have this issue. Throughout the whole week and weekend, okay? I run 12 pilots, 4 ollies, 4 hollies, and 4 lock-ons. Every single card is linkable. I get it. I get to go ahead and link. If I need to rush, get rid of something immediately, I have it. I don't try to rush as quick as I possibly can. Even though this is low to the ground, I try to control the board as much as I can and hold back a little bit in my hand. If they drop a Gundam and I don't have something, then I'm going to make sure I get something. If I have Alleluia and the 3-2 Kyrios in my hand, go ahead. 5-4, got rid of the Gundam. All right, now you got to use your little weenies to go ahead and get through everything else. Because everything can be linked on here with these pilots, I'm running it at 12. I would say if you want to play it safe, take one of these out. Make Alleluia at 3 and put everything else at 4. Overall, I just think that this is the way I've been playing it, because every single link, you got 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. You got 15 units that you can easily link with your pilots if you need to rush, if you needed to. Obviously, you have your lock-ons. You can drop it on your normal, the smaller dynamis, your LR dynamis, or your breachers. And or if you don't have it and you have another unit in play, you can go ahead and add lock-on to any of the other units. Hidden active units can be really solid. You can put this on your Eins to go ahead and hit a level 6, your Kyrios, or anything else that you can go ahead and put that on. I think overall, lock-on is pretty solid. I can see people dropping this down to 3. I want it as consistent as possible. I've only had one game where I drew all the pilots and not have any of the units. But even in that deck specifically, that duel, I whiffed multiple times with Hallelujah, and this is why I ended up changing the deck altogether, the way I was playing it, because I whiffed with what I had. So I decided to cut down even more of what I could to be able to have what I'm using right now. So I'm using 12 pilots. I know some people don't like it, but again, you can use Alleluia's effect as long as you have a linkable unit somewhere else. So Hallelujah's effect is kind of pretty, is almost like Wu Fei. As long as you have a link in play, a CB link in play, anything 3 AP or less, you won't take damage for. But you got to have a link in play to gain its benefits. So like I said, depending on how you want to do your changing, I always have a pilot. I'm always going to be able to link it if I need to get over something. And that's kind of the way I use it. I don't try to rush as much as I can, even though it seems like you can rush because you go very low. 2, 3s, and then your 4s is where your curve is pretty much at. But I don't try to rush. I just try to control the field, burn through the resources, and then start going in with the first strikers and, blowing up the field with the Irons. So I'm running 12. Like I said, in your build, you can drop it down to 3 Hallelujahs. Next, moving on to the commands. 3 close combats. I think 3 is probably where I like it the most. Close combat, unfortunately, like improved technique, you're limited to level 4 or lower. And close combat can help me more towards the mid to late game, where improved technique cannot, because they have to hit level 4s. Improved technique is super solid. I also tried overwhelming pressure. I did not like overwhelming pressure because there's times where it bursts and I did not get anything. I think overall close combat is just a really good solid unit. You can go ahead and put 2 damage on something else, and that can help you potentially get over something that might be a little bit more HP than what you can potentially drop on the field. So close combat at 3 is probably where I have it. Also, something that I had to cut down to make room for the Irons is I'm running Tactical Visionary at 3 specifically. The reason why is you really don't want this in your opening hand. You really want this more to your mid to late game when you're digging for your key pieces, not early on. Early on, if I'm going first, which is I try to always take first if I can, I always try to make sure I either have this or one of these early units right here. One of these 7 units here. Technically, if you think about it, with these 3, can make it 10. And if you have turn 3 and if you're going first, you can go ahead and drop that if you wanted to. But you really want to be able to have early on to be able to battle against the aggro players. So that is mostly there for digging for your key pieces, specifically looking for your Hallelujah. Your Hallelujah is just too much of a good card to not use. This helps with the draw aspect in this specific deck, because you don't really have any way to draw. And this is your searcher pretty much, but this is your draw engine here. If they don't get rid of this, you're going to keep drawing, and it's almost like first form. You really want to give it a first form because after a while, they're going to keep getting too many resources. And this is what this is going to do specifically. As long as it's CB, you can add it to your hand, which is super solid. Again, there's 6 cards right here you cannot use. Now, a couple more cards I have left to go over. I have 1 bridge crew. I have found a lot of people, once they see that this is a first striker with Hallelujah, they're going to say, oh, you know what? I'm not going to go ahead and turn my unit sideways. I'm going to wait and stall. All right, that's fine. Go ahead and drop a bridge crew. Hit their unit active. As long as it's not paired with a pilot, you can go ahead and smack an active unit, which again, just gives you another incentive. And it's almost like lock on. There is a unit for Kyrios that kind of does this on deploy, but it's only level 4 or lower. The only restriction is it doesn't have a pilot on the field. You can go ahead and smack it. Overall, I can see myself potentially running this at 2, but right now I've been liking it at 1. If it's in the shield, I burst, add it to hand. If I draw it, I know on turn 4 that I'm going to get my key pieces. Dynamis was really good before, making sure you always hit active units if you could. And I know a lot of people started using Bridge Crew for Dynamis, but I did not like it. Now that you have multiple level 4s that you want to make sure you smack them actively, this becomes a little bit more useful. And that's why I'm running this at 1, but I can see people running it at 2 because I think overall it's a super duper solid unit card. Now, last but not least, the last 4 are the bases. A lot of people don't like this, but I personally like it. It's also a reason why you can potentially whiff. I'm running 4 of the 6 HP bases. This helps stall with everything else for the low end, helps stall your opponent. If you think about aggro, first form with Mika, it can hit for 5. It needs 2 swings still to break the base. So they're wasting 2 swings to break it. Unless they have gunned them out in the field, this is not going to be broken on the first hit from aggro players. So if you happen to get this in your early opening hand, awesome. It's not a bad look. If you get this potentially with maybe one of the lower ends, awesome. This can help you against aggro, slow it down just a little bit just to get your other key pieces. Now, keep in mind, this is not a CB card. And one of the decks, the duels I played against, the whiff that I had was actually, hallelujah, whiffed 4 times, unfortunately. I had 2 bases, 1 bridge crew, and 1 close combat. The chances of that is very slim, but you're gonna make it happen if you keep these ratios high. So I can see myself potentially lowering this so that I always have a CB card to always draw. But the 6 HP base is where I personally like. I want to control the aggro matchup and slow it down a little bit as much as I potentially can. You can run Exia, the 3-2, that Exia that pops a level 2 or lower. That helps with tokens. I think a lot of my units can deal with that without worrying about it, especially with Hallelujah being able to eat up one of the 2-1s units. So I kind of don't worry about using Exia. Like I said, I try to keep all my units linkable, except now Eins. But I just find that so many times that this 6 HP has helped me. I went against a Minerva squad unit where they dropped Destiny without the pilot. It's a 5 hit, and he had a full board, but he had to waste 2 swings to break through it. I just feel like overall, having that 6 HP is just such a good chef kiss when it comes to it. If they had a CB base, maybe Ptolemy, when it comes out, they will give us a 6 HP CB base. That would be amazing. Overall, if I had a 6 HP base I can use, I would use it, because I just find like that is more consistent than me dropping my unit, because then they can drop. If I drop Exia, then on turn 4 they can go ahead and drop Adept and then ping it out. Where this, if I drop this, then well, I slow them down by 2 turns, and a lot of times they have to swing multiple times into it. And I just find that this is overall better when it comes to also dealing with wing matchups. You have the LR wing that wants to breach for 5. If you have the Trinity Warship base, he breaches, and then he was able to, your enemy can swing multiple units into your shields area. With this, because it's 6 HP, is going to breach for 5, but it's still level 1 HP. They're going to have to waste 1 more unit to turn sideways to go ahead and break that base. So personally, I've been running this like this. I can see that one duel I had, I kind of wish I did have a CB base to draw, and I can see myself potentially putting the Trinity Warship, but unfortunately, like a lot of the times, I don't want to turn my unit sideways for the cost to go ahead and ping one. So it's just there to be a draw engine for Hallelujah to be able to draw a base to your hand. I'm going to keep it like this for right now, but I can see potentially changing this out, or maybe changing the ratio out and putting the Trinity Warship in here so that you're able to pretty much get that draw. It'd be nice to see another CB base potentially down the line, maybe in GD05, that either be green or it can be Ptolemy, correction, maybe Ptolemy 2, because it's purple right now. Maybe they drop it as a green one. You never know. But this is pretty much what I have currently right now when it comes to my deck that I'm going to be probably taking to NewType challenge. I also might want to look into trying my purple red as a NewType challenge, but I got to do more testing when it comes to it. Now, let's go over some tech cards that you can potentially add and change, and things that in my mindset when it comes to it. You can potentially add another Dynamis if you wanted to give yourself more of a breach engine here. I know a lot of people have said that they actually prefer the new this Dynamis, the Trans Am, the Type D Trans Am, because it's the same AP, 1 extra HP. And it has an effect when it's destroyed, it can search the top 3 cards of the deck. If it's a unit level 5 or lower, you get to add one of them to your hands. So it is a breach 3, but this is 2 costs less. So that's also very important, because on turn 6, if this was a turn 6, you really only have 1 resource, and that's most likely going to be your pilot. But on turn 6, I can drop this and then maybe something else. And I find this better when it comes to the destroy effect to this. You can definitely whiff. I've whiffed multiple times, even with the purple deck. This is very restrictive already. You need level 5 or lower units only. So you have already some restriction. If it was just any CB card, when it's destroyed, reveal it and add to your hand, I would say yes, this is mandatory, add it to your deck. But the fact that it would be on lock-on, it would be a 5/7, amazing. But because the restriction is only units, and it has to be level 5 or lower, That means it can't find itself, it can't find Thrown Eyes, and nor can it find Trans Am Kyrios. That is the reason why I don't like that, because again, you could potentially whiff. I'm already potentially taking the chance with whiffing with all the commands I have. You got 7 here, and then you have 11 altogether with the bases. I don't want to take a chance in whiffing with this unit. I understand that you want to make sure you dig and draw, but that's why I have Tactical Visionary. Tactical Visionary is there so that I can get that potential draw and search when I need it to, more towards that mid to late game. So that's why I don't really care about running this as much. It is a unit, but you're eating up a lot of your resources where you could potentially dropping multiple units and keeping the board wide versus dropping 1 unit on turn 6, or even later if you get that far in. But that's just my personal take when it comes to the destroy effect. If it just says CB cards only, I would say definitely run this card. I would run it myself, but the stats are amazing, but I don't care for it that much so that I have a chance to whiff level 5 or lower. There might be a chance where, yeah, you're going to probably most likely get a CB card, but maybe not the CB card you want specifically. You might potentially whiff by getting 2 pilots and maybe a base, or 2 pilots and maybe another unit, or 2 commands and a pilot. There's just so many options. I don't want to lose my Hallelujahs, because Hallelujah is just so important in this deck that I don't really want to whiff with that. All right, next is I ran, instead of the full shield, I ran 3 normal Dynamuses. You can use this if you wanted to. The Dynamus is still really solid, that 1 extra AP. If you're using it as a way to crack your base, awesome. If you don't like to run this, you're most likely going to run this potentially. Or you can run something else. You want to be able to break their base, unless you wait to turn 4 to go ahead and potentially use this, or use any of your LRs to go ahead and break base. But I find that as soon as I break the base, I'm forcing them to put something out on the field. If not, I'm going to start dropping my units going wide. And then from me going wide, I can then figure out what units I want to put the pilot on. I don't try to always rush to put a pilot on. I try to figure out, let me break the base, drop wide, and then from there, let me see, okay, let me put Hallelujah on this and have that interaction. Let me put Hallelujah on this. Let me put Lock On onto this to get those sort of reactions. So that's what I kind of do with my mindset when it comes to the game when I'm playing with this specific deck. All right, next was I also use, if you see the blue-purple duel, I did use Improved Technique. I had it at 2. I think Improved Technique is awesome for aggro. You burst, you hit for 3. To make this even worth it more, you would have to run this at 3 to 4 to be able to have 2 in the grave, and then you hit another one to hit anything for level for 3 ping. You can run Overwhelming Pressure, but you have a chance to hit it in your shield and not get the benefit of it. I found that I wanted to put Overwhelming Pressure ahead of it, and I did. I took those Overwhelming Pressure. I took Improved Technique out for Overwhelming Pressure, and when I did not always see it when I wanted to. Overwhelming Pressure is 2 turns later, same cost, is a 5/3, no burst, but you can hit a unit that's 6, 5. I already forgot it. Do I have it here? I already forgot it. But you can hit a 5 or 6 lower for 4 damage. I think it's 6. That is insane. You can hit a lot of units for 4 damage just from that. I think it's 6, actually, the more I think about it, because I wanted to get rid of my buddy Tim's G-Fret. So yeah, it's level 6 or lower for 4 damage. So overall, you can run that if you wanted to. Overwhelming Pressure, I don't have it in here because I don't like it anymore. But you can use that if you needed to just to do some damage to a level 6 or lower. Improved Technique, you can run. You can use Overwhelming Pressure. A lot of people have been doing Gundam Exia. This card is really good, and no people hate it that it is 1 HP. My problem with this is not going to be one of the cards that you're going to be able to link with, unfortunately, because there is no Cessna that is green or red. So you cannot use it in this deck. You can't link it and go. The main reason for this is just to deploy it, hit a level 2 or lower out on the field, hitting white base tokens, striker packs, hitting all those pants and those hands. That is what this is for specifically. You can go ahead and hit one of the units on deploy, which is really awesome. And that's what it really is there. And if they don't ping it out, then that's on them. But most of the time, they will ping this out on their next turn. So that is one of the reasons. Again, we talked about why I like this card specifically, because on turn 2, I can drop this. On turn 2, unfortunately, I cannot drop this. This is turn 3, and I cannot swing on turn 3 because I just deployed it, and I don't have Cessna. So, unfortunately, on turn 4, they can drop the Adept and then ping this out, and then that as one less card out on the field. Where there's, at least I had this one turn uncontested and hitting the base unless they use close combat. But this card is still really good. If you're in your local area, you have a lot of aggro players, I would definitely throw this in. I would probably take these 3 out for that reason specifically. If you have a lot of aggro players, I have mostly blockers and high end, so a lot of 6, 7, 8s, and 9s. Obviously with Neo Zeons out now, I have a lot of that. Now we do have some aggro players, but most of the time they're not. I'm gonna be going against like a blocker deck. So with my sort of setup, I am kind of set up to deal with aggro. I can manage with aggro, have some control. But this is still good. Could get rid of tokens, white-based tokens, striker packs, all that stuff. This can be really, really solid as well. That unit, like I said, if you're going against more aggro players, I would drop this for this easily. Next, something I might add to the deck, like I said, we just talked about it, is the base. Trinity Warship is a level 4, so you can't drop it physically. You can drop it on turn 4 because you're going to drop either the Curios or you're going to drop the Dynamis. So you can't drop this, unfortunately. But you do have the option to turn. You can burn 1 resource once per turn to turn 1 of your units sideways and ping a level 5 or lower. I can handle 5 totally fine. This base is just for you to grab with Hallelujah if you needed to. And that's the only reason I actually really care for it. In like a purple build or in a Trinity build, yes, you're going to want to use this more often because you're built on damage units. And this can help with, battle faces if you need to, all that sort of stuff. I think overall this card is pretty solid because you can grab it from Hallelujah when you're drawing it. I might check it out. I'm not too sure yet when it comes to it. I do want to make sure I get CB cards. So if I keep whiffing in my testing until tomorrow of NewType challenge, maybe we'll try putting it in. But right now you can put this in if you wanted to. I would probably change something out with the ratios with this, or drop off another Tactical Visionary and put another Trinity Warship or something like that. But overall you can use that to help yourself out because it is a CB card. I have seen very few people play this card. There was a lot of hype onto this in here, and it is this rare that came from GD03. It's a 5/3 5/3 stat line. You can put Ollie or Holly on it if it destroys a unit during link. If this had a link, if it had one or two things, if it was an effect that you can have without linking, I would like it. Or if it had a higher level restriction. Like right now, it has to be linked only, and it can only hit level 3 or lower to be able to gain this effect. Now, what this effect does, it does 1 damage to everything on the field that's level 3 or lower. If this was level 4 or lower, or even 5 or lower, I would have put this card in my deck for sure. But the fact that it's 3 or lower, on turn 5, you might be able to have that issue. But on turn 5, I'm going to be able to kind of control the board, and then I'm going to board wipe on turn 6. You can potentially do some of the stuff, shenanigans, with other cards as well. I just don't personally like this card. I think it's the restriction and the link. If it was one or the other, if it had this effect without linking, awesome, I would put it in here. If it didn't have this effect and it had to be linked, but it had a higher level restriction, I would definitely play it. But because you have both those restrictions, I don't like it as much personally, my personal opinion. But this can help with that board wipe 1 turn earlier than Ainz can. So if you're going against a bunch of token decks that want to drop pants and drop a bunch of white-based tokens, sure, you go ahead and use this if you want. But you got to make sure you hit. You got to make sure you destroy a unit during battle. What else? Oh yeah, still got more cards. So again, you can use that if you wanted to. I personally, I just don't. Next, Dynamis. Yes, you are technically running lock on, but the fact that it's a 4 cost on turn 5, I want to use either tokens or not tokens. My Dynamis here specifically, or I want to be able to drop the other LR. I'm not going to be able to drop this probably unless maybe later. This can be good, but again, the restriction is level 3 or lower. Turn this sideways to go ahead and pop something. Most of the time, you're not going to link this. This is just there to deploy and ping. This is just like the Exia. You're going to just deploy it and ping. So you have a couple more options. I think, honestly, if Exia was level 3 or lower and to destroy it or to do 2 ping would be good. Same thing goes for this. If this was higher, if this was like 4 or 5, I would probably be running it. But it's not. Level 3 or lower, you turn it sideways, you go ahead and ping something for 2. Can be very helpful, helps against aggro. But on turn 5, you are going to be either dying or about to die. And if you can't have board control and can't drop a bunch of units, then this is not going to potentially help you. I can see why people do like it though. If you have board control early on, sure. I found myself not liking the resting my unit sideways. I think in a purple red build, when you have that CB base on the floor, Ptolemy. If you have Ptolemy on the field, then this turn sideways, you pop something for 2. Now they have to hit this for sure because you just deployed it. So that's just something to keep in mind when it comes to that card. Next, we talked about it briefly. Gundam Kyrios Tail Booster. It's a 5/4, 5/3. This is pretty much like a Bridge Crew, but on deploy. You can choose one of your units that is paired with a Super Soldier unit. So we have 8 pilots, okay? You have more of a chance to use this. During this turn, it may choose one enemy active unit level 4 or lower as attack target. So this is level 4 or lower. It can be paired with a pilot. This can be any level, but it cannot be paired with a pilot. So it all depends on how you see it. I personally don't care for this level 4 restriction because most of the time, this is going to be able to handle it. And if I can't handle it, Lock On will handle it with this effect instead. So if you're not running Lock On and the Dynamite package, I can definitely see running this card. If you're just running an Ali Holly deck, I can definitely see running this card because you'll be able to smack active units. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're running the Lock On, you might not want to run this, but if you're not, definitely something to keep in mind. All right, what else? Something else you can add to your deck if you wanted to. A lot of these cards lower end don't have enough AP sometimes. Well, if you put Trinity is a command that is also a pilot as well. You can put it with Irons and is linkable. It is a Trinity CB trait. You can target up to 3 of your CB units and they get plus AP 2 on this turn. So you can go ahead and make this a 4. You can potentially, if this is the has a pilot on the field, if it's not paired with this, it becomes a 6 with Trinity. With a pilot like Alleluia on this, becomes a 7 on the field. So that can play a very interesting factor on buffing your units. It is a command, so you can potentially use this as a pilot if you needed to, or a command to buff all your units. That can be very good against a player who thinks that they have a good, out to your unit and they think that it's going to be easy. I take only 2 damage. Nope. Drop this. Now you're taking 4 damage instead. And it might be even kill that unit. So that's something to keep in mind when you're running that. I just think overall it is an interesting card. I just don't personally use it myself. Something I had in my purple-red deck that you could potentially use in this as well, but I prefer in the purple-red if you were to use this at all. But you can run this if you wanted to. Human Karma, you choose one of your level units, turn it sideways, and then you can hit 1 unit for 3 damage for whatever that level was. So this is pretty much like improved technique, but turning your unit sideways. Where improved technique, unfortunately, again, is level restricted to 4. This, you can go all the way to 6 or 7, depending on what you're using. Oh, no, actually, you can't. You can go all the way to whatever level you are, turn it sideways, and hit something for 3. I think overall, if you wanted to, you can use this. Just something that I saw is techable. It's an action card. You can use this if you wanted to. Next is Financier. If you're going against aggro or suppression, this is a very good card against suppression. You can go ahead and use this, put an EX base on the board, 1 less damage you're taking on the shield because you dropped this. You put the EX base out, 1 less. Against suppression, if you're going against that unicorn deck, go ahead and drop this, boom, can't hit suppression, able to hit the base, the EX base instead. Can be very helpful. I don't know if you want to use this against aggro, but you can if you're going level 6 if you wanted to save you a little bit. This is another card you can use if you needed to use it. Last but not least, I'm going to talk about myself personally. Something that I was thinking about when I was first originally building this deck was Nena or Nina. So in Spanish it's Nena, which just means Nena, which means a girl. With Nena here specifically, She gives 3 AP to everything on the board. So you have your units now that have lower AP. Now they have a lot more higher AP. They can also support another unit to buff another unit. You can also put this as a linkable target for your Thrown Iron specifically. But the more and more I played it, the more and more I don't really care about having the extra HP as much as I want just more bodies on the field. So I ended up taking this out and not having it back in the deck. I think if you're going against ping, this can be very good. This is something that I've been playing around with, purple and red, or a Trinity build, just to be able to give a little bit more HP onto it. But overall, that is pretty much it. There's other cards you guys can potentially use. Like I said, for me specifically, I tried to have my deck specifically all linkable cards. I want linkable cards to be able to, go in when I need to. The only card that's not linkable in this deck, as we talked about before, is Thrown Irons. Everything else is linkable here. But that is pretty much it. Stay tuned for this week. I'm going to have a purple-red duel. We have 3 rounds of that purple-red duel. And then at the end of the week, like we did today, maybe Sunday next week or Monday, I'm going to drop the purple-red deck list. I do find that the purple-red is actually more interesting sometimes when I'm playing it because it's good. It can be good early on, kind of. Mid-game can be all right. And the end game can be super solid, depending on how you have your setup is. So overall, I like the purple red as well. You're going to see some duels when it comes to that as well. And I have other duels that I have recorded, but I want to be able to kind of push everything up a little bit. I want to be able to get the purple red out because I know a lot of people have been interested on my take on the purple red, since a lot of people locally see me play purple red and they said, hey, that was kind of interesting, what kind of deck you have. And I've been keeping my deck list kind of private because I've been cooking in myself and figuring out what I like and what I personally don't like. But this is just my take on a green-red CB deck. Hopefully you guys like it. If you do like it, hit the like button. If you think this video is good enough to share with other people, go ahead and hit share. And also hit the hype button. Hype also really helps a lot of creators as well and pushes out the videos a little bit more better in the algorithm. But that is pretty much it. Hopefully you guys enjoy this, and I'll see you guys in our next video. Peace.